Hello everyone and welcome back to another 3rd edition Batman Miniature Game Battle Report. Thank you for the support on the first 3rd edition Battle Report, as well as the feedback on what might or may not have been done wrong. Since filming that, the Compendium 1.1 update has landed, and thankfully it has specified what the dodge and acrobat and dodging rules in general mean. It just means you can expend an effort to make the attacking gun lose a attack die. So at least it was close to what it's supposed to be. It's just there's an effort cost involved. So anyway, we're playing on the same board. I'm using the same Batman crew as you saw last time. I forgot to mention last time that it's 350 rep. It's still the standard reputation size for a game. But this time we're going to see a neutral objective deck on display, because only the Joker and Batman have unique cards. February, or towards the end of February, the League of Assassins is going to have their deck at the very least. But everybody else is plumb out of luck and they have to use just the neutral cards. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think the reason the rule is there that you have to have your specific ones is, one, so you have a themed deck, but two, because if you have just the generic objective cards, they're a bit easier to obtain than the crew specific ones. At least that's my general opinion going in. So it might not be balanced, but not in the way you might assume. Also, we're going to see a crew that used to be two separate crews, but we'll get into that in a second. So this is the Batman crew, and as explained, it's the exact same crew as last time. So it's the Arkham Asylum Batman, the Arkham Knight Nightwing, Damian with henchmen with handcuffs, and then the 3 Arkham Guards and the 2 with guns have extra magazines. The objective deck is also exactly the same because it worked out well last time, and also that is the bat signal that comes with the new Commissioner Gordon. You can either base Gordon on that and have a massive, like 60mm base, or you can put him on a normal 40mm. I think, the new normal size for leaders, and you can just use that as a terrain piece, and I think it looks neat as that. So I think that's the most, well, the reason you want to put them on the massive bases is because it makes their Inspire range bigger technically, but I don't like how Gordon looks with hauling the bat signal around the table. So anyway, that is the crew. Let's go take a look at the other one. So this is the other crew on display, and this is what's called now Soldiers of Fortune. Bane crews and Militia crews no longer exist as separate entities, they are all together as Soldiers of Fortune. So as a result, despite being led by the Arkham Knight Sniper, Deathstroke as his, well, you could technically take the free upgrade to be a sidekick, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, this man here is from the Bane Bat box. Still limited by the fact that Jason doesn't have the elite Soldiers of Fortune boss trait, so he can only take one previously marked as Soldier of Fortune from the Bat box. So he's taken the Sharpshooter, and then from the Militia box, the Medic, the Carbine User, which I think the Carbine User in general is just better now, and the good old shieldy man with his shield, and protecting weapons I think are also better in this edition. So again, their objective deck, where is it? Here it is here. Their objective deck is a bunch of non-specific cards. There's no Arkham Knight specific card, although there is another Jason Todd miniature coming that's just been revealed as well, and he does have a specific objective card, but they're all generic ones, whereas the Batman one has like Batman's exclusive one that we saw last time, and so on. We are going to draw a mission this time, and we're going to play on the opposite edges from last time. So official objective cards, or rather mission scenarios I guess, because objectives are purely tied to your deck, in 3rd edition is not just rolling on a table from the rulebook. You actually get a bunch of cards. I've taken one card out because we aren't sure if it means what it says. So I'll go into that in a second. These have already been shuffled, but I guess to prove it, hey, we'll split the deck and say, let's make this one our mission. Oh, okay, so opposite corners, deploy one friendly model up to 4 inches outside your deployment zone. Just because you don't see him coming doesn't mean he can't see you. Okay, so the Vanguard will be the effect that diplomats, I was going to say that doesn't make any sense, that affects deployment for each side. We'll see who's deploying on either side in a second, but first, the other objective card I was talking about, it's called Showdown. It's fairly standard 8-inch deployment on each of the tables like we did last time. However, the criteria for this one says the first group to be deployed must only contain models with the leader, sidekick or free agent rank. So does that mean if you took a crew and happened to random this mission and your crew was a leader, because you have to have a leader, and then nothing but henchmen, you only get to deploy one model for the mission? Because that's the way that reads. And even if, like for instance, the Batman crew is what, a leader, a sidekick and 4 henchmen, if I had to do this, then it would just be Batman and Nightwing and no one else. That one doesn't make any sense to me at all. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it. You can let me know in the comments if I am, but the rest of them seem to make sense. Some of them are quite weird deployments, but in an interesting way, because where your deployment zone is affects how far away your suspect markers can be placed, because remember, you have to be at least 2 inches away from whatever your deployment zone is for the mission. So it's essentially 14 and 14, then a diagonal across for deployment of suspect markers, I mean. So that's closer to your side, meaning you can protect it better than when you had the 8 inches, which is technically 10 that we saw last time. So we're all deployed and ready to set up. Batman crew is down here up to the line. Remember, the scenario dictated one model can be deployed 4 inches outside. So Nightwing is up against the SWAT van there. No cards being played on this side before the game starts at the raise the plan phase, but you can see who has been given Audacity for turn 1. We come over here. The sharpshooter was given the 4 inches extra as per the scenario. However, the Arkham Knight and Deathstroke both have undercover, so they can actually deploy up to 8 inches outside the starting deployment, so they are where you can see them. Slade's next to the sewer there. The sewers and lampposts, incidentally, are just in the exact same place as last time. Just kept them there just to see how things go, because otherwise you definitely could have said they would have ended up on buildings, and it would have been too easy for the guns, and guns are very powerful now. So, yeah, the Arkham Knight's on a roof, but it's a small roof. Over here, oh, and because it's not Joker as well, we can see where the Audacity token's been given for the Birds of Prey. Soldiers of Fortune crew. Birds of Prey is what Gotham City Sirens are called now. So the Carbine person is not getting Audacity this turn, and neither is the medic. So we'll be back with the start of Battle Round 1. So the Batman crew won the roll off to go first, and first activation was Damien. He had Audacity, and he also had a free Manipulate because he's a henchman within 8 of the leader. He used his special to activate Batclaw for 6 inches of movement and able to go vertically, not just horizontally. So he shot himself over here behind the balloon stall there and put down a suspect marker. Did nothing else, staying out of line of sight of the overly dangerous guns on the opposing side. Soldier of Fortune's first activation was the shield using former militia member, I guess. So he had Audacity and he did a movement action to get to where he can be seen now, and then a tactical action to place down a suspect marker. No special action, he is just there with a shield readied down the street where I think most of the combat is going to end up happening, I think. Arkham Guard won with his extendable baton activated. He did not have Audacity. He does get a free manip, although it's not important, but he was within distance of Batman to get that. He did a move up to the suspect marker that Damien played, and that has triggered Valuable Commodities, which is a neutral card, so it's very likely that the other side has this as well. If you play during an activation, reveal one of your own suspect markers and replace it with a loot marker, which has been done. The model that reveals the suspect marker, good old Arkham Guard 1 there, receives the loot automatically, so it'll be moved from the battlefield onto his card, just to keep things tidy. I'll be doing the same with damage as well. The damage will be on the board to show you it happening, but then it'll be on the card just to keep things a bit tidier, because I noticed it got a bit messy last time with all the new markers on the field. If a model with a loot marker becomes KO or is removed as a casualty, the loot is placed in contact with the model where it fell. A model making a movement action that connects with the loot can pick it up, so you don't need to use a Manipulate to do it. If at the end of the game the loot is carried by a friendly model, one of the Batman's crew, score this card. This objective cannot be played after the 3rd round. This is the 1st round, it's been played, it's now in effect, and good old Arkham Guard 1 has this loot on his person. If he's still holding it by the end of the game, or someone else from the Batman crew, if he's gone down, that is 3 victory points waiting to score. The Carbine using militia member activated. He did not have Audacity, so he just moved up next to the sewer grating there, and that was his turn. However, he was actually within 8 of Arkham Knight, so he technically does have a free Manipulate, so he could have travelled via the sewer. No sewer he could come out of would be safe for him, given that he can't attack this turn, so he's opting just to stay there for now. Arkham Guard 3 with his riot gun and an Audacity marker activated. He moved up, and then for his tactical action he placed down a suspect marker. Except it's not a suspect marker, it's a snitch, which we saw at the end of the game last time. So he placed a suspect marker, it is designated as a snitch. It cannot be revealed / removed this round. I guess the reason it makes that distinction is there's cards that can remove suspect markers, so they don't affect this either. If at the end of the round there are no enemy models within 4 inches, which is very unlikely, you score this card. So it's in play, much like the loot, except the loot doesn't proc until the end of the game, but this procs at the end of the round. and I don't think there's much in the way of things that can stop it, but I guess we'll see. The Soldiers of Fortune medic activated. He didn't have Audacity, so all we could really do was one thing, and it was a move. He's only movement 2, but again in this edition, movement 2 translates into 8 inches, which is pretty significant. It's very easy to get across the board now, which I guess is because it's only a 4-round game. So he's just there. He is following the shield up and the sharpshooter once he activates, presumably. Speaking of which, sharpshooter, Arkham Knight and Deathstroke are left to go on this side, and it's still Batman, Nightwing and one of the Arkham Guards for the Batman crew. So as we cover the next activation, I have to apologise, I didn't go into what extra equipment the Soldiers of Fortune brought. Probably you could guess, but everybody who has a gun has an extra magazine. So it's like, it's hidden magazines for the Arkham Knight and then just normal magazines for the other two. It's from the militia side of the combined crew list. Just something I forgot to mention at the top. So anyway, the Arkham Guard with the assault rifle, he didn't have Audacity, so he just moved up, did not place a suspect marker, and that's it. Sorry, I totally forgot he started his activation within 8 inches of Batman, so he has a free Inspire, or rather a free Manipulate thanks to Inspire. So even though he didn't have Audacity, he could place a suspect marker, so he has. So the next Soldier of Fortune activation was the Sharpshooter, and that's a good time to go over how climbing works in 3rd edition, because he did a climb action. Started roughly there with Audacity. He is movement 3, so he has 10 inches normally. However, the way climbing works is you move to the thing that's feasibly scalable, which if you're standing on this box, this is. You immediately apply impaired movement, which is -4, to your maximum move this turn. So that brought him down to 6. And then assuming you can still make the vertical and then horizontal, you can climb it. So he made it barely just to where you can see him there. His gun's got aim on it anyway, so he can't move and shoot it, but he's just chilling there. He technically didn't do a tactical action, so he could have applied a... Oh wait, no, that might be too close to that. Good time to check whether or not it's 4 inches or 2 inches. Hang on. It's 4 inches that you can't place suspect markers in between, but still not wanting to place one there, so just moving on after that. Nightwing activated next with Audacity, and as we know from last time, he is very fast. His special action was to use his back claw to add 6 inches in vertical climb, so he could just scale the SWAT van there. Then he shot forwards, even further than Damien did, to where you can see him, and then he threw his wingdings at the shield-wielding militia member. The way shields work, or any weapon with the protect/protecting rule in 3rd edition, is that you always count as being in cover, so the strength die off ranged attacks is automatically discarded. And if you're being attacked in close combat, you get +1 to your defense rolls. However, because this is a ranged attack, there was no defense rolls. 2 hits from the wingdings got through for 2 stun each. For 4 stun, he only has 4 willpower. He is knocked unconscious. And again, these will just be removed and put on his card to help keep the table a little bit tidier. So now it's over to Deathstroke or the Arkham Knight. The Arkham Knight activated with Audacity. He moved up, he used his tactical action to place a suspect marker. His sniper has a 16-inch maximum range, so he couldn't reach that Arkham Guard, who was deliberately placed just outside. And aim means he can't move and fire, so he can't fire from where he is. So he put a suspect marker on the roof there. And now it's over to Batman to end the turn off for that crew, and then Deathstroke gets to do something. So the last activation for the Batman crew was the man himself. He also used his backlaw. Didn't go the full distance he could have because he wanted viewing angle on the Arkham Knight. Threw batarangs at him. Did 2 damage, however Kevlar Vest now just reduces damage taken by 1 to a minimum of 1. So the Arkham Knight only took 1 stun, which is going to automatically heal at the end of the turn. So Batman wasn't able to do that much there. Other than that, he used all his actions because he moved in his special with his backlaw. Over to Slade to end off battle round 1 proper. So Deathstroke activated with Audacity, and first he did his tactical action, which was a sewer move to over there, and then he did his special action on Hidden Sniper. So that targets someone he can see that is within 12 of a board edge, which the Arkham Guard with the assault rifle was. And then this is where it gets a little confusing, because the way Hidden Sniper works in 3rd edition is it's rate of fire 1, 2 blood, firearm rule on him, and it ignores cover. So does the rate of fire 1 mean you roll 1 normal dice plus the strength dice that gets added in, or do you roll just the strength die? The firearm rule means that the strength die wounds on a 2+, ignoring usual things unless they have a bulletproof vest. But if it does include a normal dice as well as the strength one, which it should, I think, do you use Slade's attack? Because it doesn't, well, it doesn't specify you use the model's attack, because Slade isn't the only one with Hidden Sniper. The old Gordon model has Hidden Sniper as well, for instance. So, not 100% clear on that. We did it as just the strength die, wounding on a 2+, because it's got the firearm rule. So it damaged, and it did 2 blood to that Arkham Guard, but there might have been a potential 4 blood there, depending on whether or not that was done incorrectly. Do let me know in the comments what you think about that. But that takes us to the conclusion of Battle Round 1 and the recap. So at the end of Battle Round 1, the shield-wielding militia member is not waking up. He has 3 special, but it's down to 2 because it's -1, and he has to roll 4 or under on the 2, so it's not going to be easy for him to get up, although the medic is nearby and he can wake him up automatically, actually. I forgot about that. So, other than that, in terms of points scored, there was only 1 card processed in Battle Round 1, and that was the Snitch, which has now paid out for the 3 victory points up there. It's off the table. The loot is still in play, remember, but that's at the end of the game. That does it. No other cards or anything played, and with that, we're going into Battle Round 2. So to get Battle Round 2 started, here's where Audacity markers have been placed. There's no Raise to Plan objective cards being played yet, and the roll-off happened and Batman will be going first again. But there's the overview, and now we're jumping in proper. So to get Battle Round 2 started, the Arkham Guard with assault rifle activated. He did not have Audacity, so he just stood still and he shot at Deathstroke, who is in the open and eliminated, and did 6 blood to him with 2 hits getting through the strength die plus 1 other. So Slade is hurting. That's 6 damage on him. He's lost 2 efforts, and he has 1 HP left? 2 HP? I think he has 2 left. I think he has 8. Wait, no, he's a 7, isn't he? Yeah, because the big thing about this model in particular in 2nd edition was he was way overcosted. He's not getting a chance to shine so far, which is probably a good thing. So Deathstroke activated, and as you can see, actually he's pretty dangerous. Also, I should have trusted my first instincts. He is 8 endurance. So he activated with Audacity. He moved up into base to base with the Arkham Guard there. Oh, first of all, sorry, he used his special action on Soul Armor, and what Soul Armor does in this edition is just heals him for 2 damage of any type, so he's at half health now with 4 blood on him. Then he used his sword on the Arkham Guard and did 10 damage. 3, 3, 3, 1. 10 damage. That Arkham Guard is very dead. Now, there is an issue, or a question regarding 3rd edition with an objective card. Where was it? There. So, does getting KO'd / casualty count as an effect? Because I'm feeling weird, inflict an effect on an enemy model, score the card. Is KO or casualty an effect? And because it's a generic card, I think it must be, because not every crew has access to like poison or burn or anything else that could be counted as an effect, or bleeding, etc. So presumably that does count and will be scored. Either way, he's definitely very dead, so regardless, that's quite bad. Damian Wayne activated and with Audacity moved into contact to face Slade. Now his old rule, if he's in a Brave and the Bold / Batman crew, the mentoring one, is that the one? Still applies, so he doesn't do blood damage, he does stun, and that's significant because all said and done with combo katanas, he did get 4 stun, well, it would have been 4 blood, which would have been enough to kill Slade, but because he's being non-lethal, it gets switched to stun, so he's suffered no stun damage so far, so he's still very much alive and kicking. So that's the downside, I guess, of having the 2 separate health bars now, on tougher characters anyway. The carbine-wielding militia member activated with Audacity. He moved. He is an assault weapon wielder. What a weird way to say that. His carbine has assault, and in the 1.1 compendium, assault was updated. The wording of it changed, so now you can move and fire. I guess you just ignore the number on the old cards, because it used to be like assault 3, which meant you could still fire at rate of fire 3 even if you moved instead of rate of fire 1. What it just means now is that rather than getting a -2 to the dice rolled if you move and fire, it's a -1. That's all assault does. Also, bat armor negates the strength die automatically from attacks, so he had 3 dice, 1 hit got through for a single bit of blood on Batman, and that was it. The medic activated with Audacity. He moved and then as a special action used the medic trait, and that's changed slightly from 2nd edition as well. So it removes 2 damage of any type from a model in base to base, and if the wording of this one is a little strange also, but if that means that a model who has not activated this battle round yet recovers from KO, the opponent gets a pass marker. So that's different. In 2nd edition, if you brought someone back from KO with medic, they just didn't get a turn the round in which they were woken up. That's different. At least it reads that way. It's a little poorly written, but it doesn't say anything about them not getting an activation. It just says the opponent gets a free pass. So the Batman crew has a pass they can use despite having the same number of models as the militia side. and he has no range, so he couldn't do anything with his tactical action. Plus there's a suspect marker right there, so he couldn't place another one. So rather than use the pass, Nightwing activated with Audacity, he moved up to where you can see him and then used his special on Electric Storm, which is where you place the... hang on, I've got it here. You place the explosion template over him. Any models caught by it, which was those two, on a 3+, they take 2 stun damage. It doesn't affect Nightwing because he's the one unleashing it. So that has re-knocked out the shield-wielding Op, so he's unconscious. The medic has taken 2 stun, and then as his tactical action, he has revealed the suspect marker, which has not triggered any traps of any kind, it's just gone. The Arkham Knight activated and used his special to give himself rapid fire, which is +1 attack die. If he fires, he can't move and fire, so he just stayed there and shot 16 inches just inside at the Arkham Guard with the riot gun down here. Did 6 blood, and an Audacity marker has been wasted because this poor gentleman has just had his dome popped by Jason Todd. He is very dead. Didn't trigger any cards or anything though, so no points, but that's another one off the board for the Batman crew. So the last activation for, I've been calling them Militia the whole game, haven't I? Soldiers of Fortune is the sharpshooter who did not have Audacity, so he didn't move. He just used the tactical action to place his suspect marker. That one there is gone, so now it's fine. That's just out of 4 inches there, so they can be placed up there. That's been done, so now Batman has to go, and so does the Arkham Guard, the only surviving Arkham Guard that has the loot. They just get to go and do whatever they want. So as we get to the halfway point of the match, the last 2 activations, this Arkham Guard with the loot is just scarpering with it, hiding behind the SWAT van, calling for help. Batman, however, rushed the Carbine Militia and unleashed a flurry of punches and managed to get a ridiculous 8 stun through, which also triggered They Must Know Pain. It's only 1 victory point, but it's kinda, well actually I was going to say it's easy to achieve, but not really. Inflict at least 6 damage of any type with a single melee attack, which he did, and that's a neutral card. So that has been scored, and that takes us to the recap, see if any of the cards score at the end of a battle round. So then battle round 2, neither of the knocked out Soldiers of Fortune have woken up, so they're staying down for another turn. However, Soldiers of Fortune have achieved a card, neutral one obviously, called Stick to the Plan. It scores at stage 4, which is the cleanup phase. You must have more suspect markers than your opponent in play. So that is 2, playing 1, so that is scored for 2 victory points, and that takes us into the start of battle round 3. So as we start battle round 3, here's how things are looking. There's only 4 miniatures left in the Batman crew, so obviously all of them have Audacity. And you can see that also, of the conscious models, all of the Soldiers of Fortune have Audacity as well. There's no cards being played in the Raise the Plan phase, as far as I'm aware, so we are ready to get started, and in this battle round, the Soldiers of Fortune are going first. So for the Soldiers of Fortune's first activation, there's some shenanigans going on that I think are allowed. So the medic activated with Audacity. He used his special to once again medic the shield guy to wake him up, so 2 stun off of him. Then used Manipulate to go through the sewer here, and then as a resource, not as an objective, as a resource played Disturbance, which is free, actually, it doesn't even cost resource points. During a friendly activation, target a sewer marker. That marker cannot be used this round. And that one that they just used has been selected. And it just says during, it doesn't say at the start, so presumably you can do it at the end after travelling through a sewer marker. You can like weld it shut or something. So that card is now discarded, it's been used as a resource. That sewer grating is shut. Or is it because, as a counterplay, as a resource for 2 out of the 3 you're allowed in a turn, Get Him Off the Streets is being played as a resource, cancel an objective card used as a resource, this card is discarded. That is not counting, that sewer grating can still be used, that medic can possibly be chased. So Damian Wayne activated in an attempt to finish off Slade, and that proved to be a fatal mistake, because for 1 effort, so Slade has damaged himself for 1 stun, he activated counterattack, and for every failed counterattack against, or attack against him rather, assuming it doesn't result in him being knocked out or a casualty, he gets a free hit. Now free hit presumably still means you get defense rolls, but it doesn't matter because Damien's defense roll was pathetic, so the katana was used and did 8 damage to Damien. He is murdered in a single round of counterattacks. Not even an attack, Slade still gets a turn. So Damien is dead. He has the invaluable roll still, but it's not as bad as it was in 2nd edition. All it means now is +1 resource point for the turn, so he doesn't give up victory points. But he is removed, And I think, actually, does his true love Bruce Wayne automatically give Bruce Wayne true love Damien? Because if so, then Batman's about to get very cross. Need to check that. So clearly, feeling the thrill of the kill, Deathstroke activated with Audacity. He charged 10 inches into base to base, and as you can see, sword attacks on the poor Arkham Guard carrying the loot. Did 8 damage and has killed him, leaving just Batman and Nightwing on the table. And more importantly, the loot has been dropped. So, if it becomes KO or removed as a casualty, the loot is placed in contact with the model where it fell, a model making a movement. So, to stand it back up just to make sure it's placed in the right place, it'll be placed there, so Slade still has to do another action. Also, Soul Armor is not a once per game anymore, so for his special action every turn, Slade can be healing 2, so he's healed 2 more stun damage because there's no lethal damage left on the table. Things just took a nasty turn. Batman activated with Audacity and had a very ineffective turn. He hopped up the building to go after Jason, attacked him, rolled very poorly, and Jason defended. This Batman does have stealth attacks, so you can't do an effort against him if you couldn't see him when he activated and came after you. Didn't need an effort, just... In hindsight, Batman could have efforted to add attack dice up to 3. That would have been a much smarter play to go for like a powerful Alpha Strike. Need to get used to doing that. That was a mistake, but yeah. So either way, Jason's still standing, but has Batman in his face at least. The Sharpshooter activated, stayed where he was even though he had Audacity because he wants to fire his aim gun, and he shot his 4-blood sniper. Now because it's rate of fire 1, it's 1 die plus the strength die. The bat armor takes away the strength die automatically even though it's a clear shot, and he would have needed a 5 on the base dice to get through his defense. He rolled 6. So Batman has taken 4 blood plus the 1 on him, that's 5 in total, although keep in mind he does have the enhanced bat suit like he did last time, so he has 9 HP max, and also he can't fire twice in a row because it has reload. I think that still does the same thing anyway. So now, who's left to go? Just Nightwing, huh? Just Nightwing, and then the once again conscious militia member, oh, and the Arkham Knight himself, yeah, to finish things off. So Nightwing activated and did his electric storm again to once again re-stun the poor shield man here. Then with his fantastic movement he clambered up the wall here, and for his tactical action he is removing that suspect marker rather than attacking, and the reason is for comb through everything. Reveal an enemy suspect marker. Additionally, when you score this card, which is now, you may draw 1 additional objective card and then you have to discard 1. So he's essentially draw 2, discard 1 from the deck, and that suspect marker is gone. So now it's just the Arkham Knight to go to end off the penultimate turn because he is unconscious again. So to end off battle round 3 and take us to the cleanup, Arkham Knight activated and he gave in to his urges of trying to beat Batman. Just tried to punch him. Doesn't even have the reinforced gloves upgrade. Just tried to punch him and failed. So that does take us to the end of that phase, and now it's time for cleanup. So there's no objective cards to play in the cleanup phase for battle round 3, however the impossible has happened and the shield militia has woken up of his own accord. Got a 2 and a 1, so he is conscious and will get an activation most likely as we go into the final battle round of the game. Also just a clarification thing, although Slade is going to probably pick up the loot, he doesn't technically need to. The card does not score for the enemy. Holding on to it just denies the score for the person who placed the loot. So as we start battle round 4, here's how things are looking. There is no raise the plan objective cards being played again. Basically everybody alive and conscious have an Audacity marker because both sides are under strength compared to how things started, including Dear Shield up here. He has Audacity, amazing. So, into the final turn. So Nightwing was the first of the only 2 activations the Batman crew get in the final turn. He had Audacity, obviously. He ignored the Sharpshooter, moved his full allocation over there and has placed a suspect marker which has once again become a snitch. So if that has no enemy within 4 inches of it at the end of the turn, score the card. Basically it's just a clambering to try and keep ahead because they're not going to win the bodies on the floor game. Slade activated, moved over there where you can see him, and he technically does pick up the loot, but again it doesn't score anything for him, but it just means that the Batman crew can't. He placed a suspect marker which in turn has triggered stake your claim for 1 victory point, place a suspect marker within the enemy's deployment zone, which he has done, and that's all he's doing. So the final turn is going to go really quick here as we cover some quick fire activations. The medic moved down here into the deployment zone, placed another suspect marker, scored another stake your claim card for another 1 victory point. Then the last activation was Batman for the Batman crew. He just tried to smack Jason upside the head, did 4 stun, which is pretty good, and then moved out of line of sight to just make him not be able to shoot him, and Nightwing isn't visible either thanks to the building's struts there. So the only thing that seems to matter is what this guy does once he stands up, and if the Arkham Knight can actually get down there and beat Batman into unconsciousness, on the assumption there's a card that awards points for doing that. So might be back with the end of the game, or a quick recap of 2 activations. So the S.H.I.E.L.D. militia member came down here, put down a suspect marker. Jason is being very cocksure and is not doing anything, but as we enter the cleanup phase at the end of the final turn, another stick to the plan has been achieved by Soldiers of Fortune, because they have many more suspect markers, so that's 2 scored, but also the other snitch marker has scored as well. The reason for that is Batman has no stun damage on him currently, so Jason's incapable of actually doing enough to kill him with his 8 stun, and he doesn't have reinforced gloves, so again, it's literally impossible, and the sharpshooter cannot move and fire. So that takes us to, well, I don't think there's any other cards to play in the cleanup phase, so we're just going straight to the conclusion, I think. So that was a very bloody matchup. So many JCPD officers dead. Damian died. It was just Nightwing and Batman left on the table. They didn't do much in the way of casualties. There wasn't as many opportunities to arrest. But what's more important is we haven't been counting as we go. So this is going to be as much a surprise to you as well. So for Batman, that is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Low scoring, 9 points. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, and also we did double check, and casualty and KO are classed as effects in the compendium, so that one did score. So by the narrowest of margins, it wasn't a draw, it wasn't a defeat for Batman. They won by a single victory point, but what did it cost? So many young officers murdered in their prime, 2 days from retirement, most of them, come to think of it, and his young ward himself. But another narrow victory. I don't think we really got the opportunities to see a lot of the neutral deck in action, but guns are just so powerful in 3rd edition. Either way, I hope you enjoyed watching. Please do remember to subscribe to see future battle reports for this game and all the other ones we cover here, and there will be more Batman in the future, maybe on the same table one last time before shaking things up again. We shall see. Thank you for watching, and ta-ta for now.